We practiced this week. Let's see if it works.
Well, let's see if it works. And it's not working.
Oh, there we go. We got it. Good evening, everybody. It is June 11th. Can you believe that? We started this on May 14th. This is the 5th and finale week for our awards, Image Center Awards, annual awards. This is what we call our solutions event because that's what we do. We find solutions to problems with disability. Disability is just a solution waiting to happen. I want to go through a couple of housekeeping notes. As always, we are being recorded, so if it should touch your nose, you will be forever enshrined, and everybody will know that that's what you did. So, and reminding too that after this is over, we will have our complete run of show on YouTube, all 5 events, so you'll be able to see any and all of them in the future. I want to start off by thanking our sponsors. I think Angela's got a sheet up there of all of our sponsors. I really want to thank all of you for helping us in what have been difficult times, honestly. It's been a real eye-opener for us to try and figure out exactly how to make this happen. And those of you who financially support us, we're really grateful for that because it's what gives us the freedom to do these kinds of things. Most of this entire activity that we do with VME programs, in fact, all of it is not government funded. This is your private donations that make it all possible. One quick reminder as well, and that is after this show tonight at 7 when we finish, if you want to stay around and chat for a while, we're going to do that. We'd all probably like to do a post-mortem on the whole process. If you got some thoughts about how we might want to do it next year, or maybe you just want to grab a glass of wine and chat for a while, you're welcome to do it. So we'll be on for a little while afterward. And now to my thoughts for this week. Sometimes society makes leaps. Other times it changes slowly. This last 3 months has been a leap for our society. And I refer specifically to the use of technology. I believe we have forever changed the automatic response to having a meeting as where should we meet? We have found that we can meet virtually with anyone in the world, and we can do it anytime. No travel time. You save all kinds of money by not having to drive your car there. You can have 2 back-to-back appointments without driving for an hour in between them. But, there's no substitute for hugs. There's no substitute for being able to get out and ride a bike. And there's no substitute for sitting across the table for someone or building real engineering projects that have to get built physically in space. So it's not that everything has changed. It's not that, I think what we're going to discover is that we need each other and we need each other still, but that sometimes it's more efficient and easier for us to have a meeting virtually. I think a lot of us are rethinking that process. We can get a lot more done. My biggest fear when we all went into lockdown was how difficult it would be to get anything done. And frankly, I sit here way too long every day in meeting after meeting, and it's not that the meetings aren't important. They are. It's just that sometimes I can have them back to back, and I think, oh my God, I just need a break. So if you've felt some of that frustration, know that we have too. But really, we have discovered new things. We've discovered new possibilities. And really, a crisis is always an opportunity for something to get better. It's an opportunity for us to find new solutions, find new ways to get things done. And tonight, for the finale of our activities in these 5 shows, we're going to hear about a couple of different things, a couple of different projects. The first one is our project of the year. The project of the year goes to the Naval Academy Brennan's Swing Project. Brennan is a 12-year-old kid with significant limitations, and he and his family realized that motion would calm him down. So the Naval Academy created a swing that he can use from his wheelchair. This began in the fall of 2018, the fall semester of 2018. And this need had been on VME's list of things to do for quite some time, because we really felt like there were a lot of kids who couldn't necessarily get out of their chairs, but who did want to swing. So this was a dream come true for us as well. We wanted something that could accommodate all kinds of needs for folks with other disabilities, and the Naval Academy has helped us provide that. I want to introduce Neil Leon now. Neil is the senior staff engineer at Johns Hopkins University and the lead volunteer on this project. Neil, take it away.
Okay, first I want to say is thank you to the Naval Academy. As Mike has said, this is a project that has been on the we need to solve the problem list for years. Going back to John Stalins, to Andy Kahn, who is the person that got me involved with VME. And I'm very proud to have been able to work with this group of middies to solve this problem. It is a problem we've had for years. And I think they have come up with one of the solutions that will allow us to use this moving forward. They deserve having the design of the year, because this is exactly what is needed to solve the problem or a group of problems. And one of the things I need to say is, since I took over responsibility with working with the Naval Academy, I have been totally impressed with the professionalism this group of engineers does. Even though once they graduate, the chances of them doing work like this in the future is very limited. I'm proud to work with them. I'm going to continue to work with them. I'm going to work with them in the future as long as I am able.
All right. Well, thank you very much. And now I'd like to introduce Lieutenant Commander Andrea Jones. And
then there's these 2 straps, one on each side, that are adjustable.
Yeah, she wants one for tack. Do you like it, Brennan?
Brennan, is that fun?
Andrea, welcome.
Yes, thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to say that it's been an honor and a privilege to partner with an organization like VLink, or VME now, sorry, that's devoted to such a worthy cause. You know, I had the pleasure of teaching senior design this past year, and it was actually my first time, so I was very lucky to have such a talented team of young engineers to work with, who are now serving at various commands in the Navy. This team came together to successfully design, build, test, and deliver a successful wheelchair swing to Brennan. And as you guys may be familiar with, the engineering design process can be very challenging. Oftentimes I'd make a recommendation and the team would do a 180 and they would come up with something completely different and yet brilliant. And obviously, you know, you see what they've been able to come up with, and I couldn't be more proud. So they did a great job, you know, delivering that to Brennan, and hopefully he's still able to use that successfully and he's enjoying it, getting a lot of use out of it. But I would also like to say that all of the recognition really does belong to those naval officers who came up with the design. And they did a great job. They came up with the design, and then also the technical support team who manufactured the team. So our support teams in Naval Academy has been phenomenal. They really put in a lot of extra time to make sure we delivered a product, and they actually, you know, take a lot of personal responsibility when it comes to these type of projects. So they definitely want to make sure that they get delivered and that they're successful, and hopefully the end user is able to enjoy them. So I'd like to say thank you to Nick in the woodworking shop, Nika, and Brendan, who were extremely helpful in getting those parts of the swing manufactured and put together. So without further ado, I'd like to actually introduce the team. I think we have 3 of the 4 members of the team here. We have Paul Solomon, who's the team leader, Cal Cisneros, Annie Richter, and Samantha Norris, who couldn't be with us today unless she's able to jump in, but unfortunately she's on duty today. So without further ado, Paul, take it away.
Hi, thank you for having us tonight. I also want to say thank you to Lieutenant Commander Jones. We could not have done it without her wisdom and guidance. And so Cal's going to talk a little bit about why we chose this project.
How's it going, everyone? Awesome to be able to have this opportunity to talk to you all about the project a year later. When we first started looking at projects that we wanted to do for our senior year, we definitely wanted to do something that was going to make a difference. A lot of them are very abstract and just conceptual in nature. But when we saw the opportunity to work with someone specific and work with Brennan, it was something that we were really excited about. We knew it was something that down the road, we were going to look back and be proud of what we did. And I think to this day, we're still very happy. And the fact that we got to see Brennan smile when we actually set up the swing for him was the biggest award we could have got for this.
Yeah, so a little bit about the process. None of us had ever designed anything. We built tiny things growing up, so we learned a whole lot about the design process. We went and talked to experts about motors, about constructing things, all these things we had no clue about. Learned about safety standards, all these different things, and it's fascinating to see how you have to consider every single design factor, how they affect each other, and just iterate prototype after prototype. And we learned so much about designing stuff. It was an amazing experience.
What are you doing now?
So both of us are in Charleston, South Carolina. We're going to school to learn how submarines work, and we're going to be on a submarine in maybe 8 more months.
No, don't forget to close the hatch.
That's an important one.
Yeah. We also have Annie here too. I think she's
Hello,
here, yeah.
my name's Annie. I'm in the UK right now studying 3D printing with metals. And then I'll go where Cal and Paul are, and I'll pick up where they are, studying to be a submariner.
Cool.
I think overall, the project meant so much to us because we actually got to give it to Brennan. So many people helped us with it, so it's really a team effort. And like Cal said, it's something we can look back on and be proud of. So I guess thanks for giving us the opportunity to do it. We appreciate it.
Sure. No, thank you for all your work. And how has COVID affected your service these days?
Not as much as you'd probably think it would. Our commands have done a pretty great job at ensuring that no one gets infected, or if anyone does, they stop it right there. So we've been able to get our training done here. Just have to restrain ourselves and actually going out into public, where here in South Carolina it started to been let up on some of the restrictions, so we kind of have to be vigilant in our own.
Yeah. Well, again, thank you all very much for what you're doing, and enjoy it. It's exciting times.
Thank you.
And also thank you, Angela, for liaisoning and being such a great communicator and keeping us going with this project.
You're welcome. Thank you too. It's been amazing.
All right. And is Brennan's dad, Donald Maxwell, are you here? And Brennan? Are they here?
I don't think they made it on.
They might be muted, or they may not have made it on. All right. All right. Well, I just wanted to give them an opportunity if they were able to be here. All right, I want to introduce the person who makes it all work here at Image. You know, Angela is, as any of you know, who works with her. She's detail oriented. She's precise. She's on time, and she's delightful to work with. So I want to turn it over to Angela to introduce the Volunteer of the Year award.
Oh, thanks, Mike. And delightful, I try to be most of the time. So we have an opportunity here to honor our volunteers. And each and every day, I have the great pleasure of working with, we have 92 volunteers. So I get a pleasure of working with them. Tonight, we're going to talk about a Volunteer of the Year. And selecting a Volunteer of the Year is not an easy task at all, because all of our volunteers contribute in their own way, and they are all very special to us. But we had to come down to it, and I want to give you a little history and a little background on how it all works. So for those of you who may not know, VME actually started in 1982, and we've always acknowledged our volunteers, but in 1994, we actually started the Volunteer of the Year Award, along with some other awards that we have been honoring over the past 4 weeks. In 2019, VME merged with the Image Center, and it's been a great, great merger. But our main goal was to make sure that everything was smooth and ran seamlessly for not only our clients, but our school teams, as well as our volunteers. And fortunately, all of our volunteers just really stepped up to the plate to make sure that the ball just kept on rolling without any hiccups. So in light of that, in thinking about our volunteers, we actually do not have just one volunteer we're going to honor tonight. We're going to honor 2. And so with that, the first one we'd like to congratulate is Dave Hall. Now, before I get into what Dave has done, both of these volunteers that I'm going to describe or talk about tonight and talk with you about, they've had over 300 hours last year. They've clocked in 300 hours of volunteer service, which is actually amazing. It's almost like they're on our payroll too, because I see them so much. They help us so much. We're on the phone on a regular basis. But in thinking about Dave, he's an amazing guy. So here we go with Dave. So Dave is a Carroll County resident. He is a husband, dad, and a granddad. He's a mechanical engineer, and he's had an absolutely phenomenal year with us. Dave, let's talk a little bit about some of the things he's done that are just pop into my head. One of the biggest things that popped into my head from last year all the way to this year is he really helped us pull off our rollator clinics. Rollator clinics are our ability to do quick fixes on canes, rollators, walkers, and so forth. And we wanted to take that on the road, take that show on the road. And Dave was really instrumental in helping us do that. It actually started at a Carroll County senior fair that we did. And we had people actually walk up to our booths where Dave and several other volunteers repaired walkers and rollators right on the spot. That turned into probably a even bigger event at the recent Baltimore Healthy Expo, which is in March this past year, where we actually repaired 24 rollators and canes right on the spot. People just walked up and they left with smiles on their faces. From there, it actually turned into a Zoom repair. So Dave has actually repaired a rollator on Zoom. And that's a sight to see, where the client actually takes their laptop, their webcam, and shows us everything going on. And Dave was able to walk through and step that person through how to repair a rollator by Zoom. So our rollator clinics are really, really special to us. And while I'm thinking about it, I just want to give a shout out to the Blockheads Quilting Group that's in Harford County. They actually prepared quilts and walker coverings that we donated to all the people that came to our fair. So a little shout out to the Quilting Group in Harford County. Going back to Dave, Dave also has championed many of our bike clinics, where he has actually been the lead engineer in making sure we get the bikes done, making sure we have all the parts, making sure the teams understand what we need to do. And it's been a really big help. And if you're not familiar with our bike clinic, it's something you have to see for yourself. It's where we actually build about a dozen bikes, 10 to 12 bikes in a day. We have it in teams, and we're probably gonna have to change that now with COVID a little bit. But it's an awesome experience to see these kids come at the end of the day and they go home with their own bike. Many of them, it's the first bike they've ever had. So Dave has been instrumental in that. Another thing Dave has been very helpful in is he's built cribs. And let's show you a picture of that. Imagine a mom who's in a wheelchair who cannot scoop up her baby. Well, Dave came up with a solution where he took a basic crib, he redesigned it so that the wheelchair can go underneath the crib and mom can scoop up the little. Created what we call our rear steering column so that children who are not able to ride bikes on their own, mom and dad can steer them from behind. He also did a specialized walker for a young woman who was in a fire when she was a young girl, and she lost part of her limbs. She needed a specialized walker because she didn't have any sensitivity in her limbs. So Dave came up with that. I mean, I could go on and on. I mean, he's just a guy that's on the spot. He helps us. He's very enthusiastic, has a lot of energy, and anytime I call him, I can consider it done. So thinking about all that, I just want to introduce Dave, and let's give him a virtual applause. And special shout out to his wife, Wanda, who helps us too from the behind the scenes. So Dave, if you want to say a few words.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I really enjoy this. And one of the best things is working with all the other engineers, which just expands it. So like we go to the clinics, we get 12 bikes done. You can't do that with one person, but it's really neat seeing how all these other people can help do it. And I love making new stuff. You know that. So this is like, for me, just personally, it's like about once a month, it's like being Santa Claus. When you see these kids or the mothers or the parents or the kid, you know, it just makes your day, you know. So I get a lot more out of it than I put into it. So I appreciate the opportunities, and I look forward to many more projects.
All right. All right. I'll probably call you tomorrow with something.
Oh, we got irons in the fire.
Yes, we do. Okay, so our second volunteer is Kirk Platt. And let's talk a little bit about some of the things that Kirk has done. Kirk is an Anne Arundel County resident. He's also a husband and a dad. He has been a long-term volunteer with VME for a good 25 years. Back in 2015 and 2000, he was named our Volunteer of the Year. And like Dave, he clocks in about 300 hours in a year. And by the way, every time we select a Volunteer of the Year, we don't necessarily go by the hours. We just go by the hard work and the situation. Continuing on with Kirk, Kirk's had an amazing year. He personally is the person who has helped us through all 11 of our bike clinics. You can see some pictures here. He's even traveled to Philadelphia with the Omega Psi Phi fraternity to help them get their bikes up and running for kids in Delaware and in Philly and here in Baltimore. He's also helped with a bike workshop that we recently had earlier in the year, where we trained some of the students as well as some of our volunteers on what to do and what not to do at a clinic. And one of the really cool things that Kirk does is he mentors an engineering team at Howard Community College. Special shout out to Mark Edelin and Dr. Craig Murray, who are the professors there. And what's happened for the past 2 years is both of the engineering teams have won awards. This year, BGE gave the engineering team a $2,500 award for a project that's called Remote Brakes. If you can imagine, maybe the first time you've seen your own child on a bike, or your grandchild or niece and nephew, or just seeing a neighbor sometimes the kids get away from us. And chasing after a child on a bike is really a chore. So this team is actually working on a remote brake where there's going to be a clicker that will help stop the child from about 20 feet away. So mom and dad no longer has to chase after the child. That's what the award was for. Also, Kirk has been instrumental in helping us get a partnership going with the Northrop Grumman's Engineering Week. And there's a picture there of him helping out a child as he's getting a fitting. Kirk has done a lot of other projects individually too, and we really appreciate his enthusiasm. Anytime I call Kirk too, he's there, he's passionate. He always tells me the devil is in the details, and having the right tools is the key to it all. And I also want to give a special shout out to his wife, who's been supportive of us as well. So thinking about all that, we'd like to introduce you Kirk Platt. And Kirk, if you'd like to share a few words, the floor is yours.
Good evening, all. And Kirk is very, very happy to help make all these children and other people that we help with being able to do things that we all take for granted. I've been, as Angela said, I've been doing this for over 25 years in different levels of things. And there's always going to be something new that we got to figure out how to solve. I'll be very happy when we get the remote braking for the two-wheelers ready for market so that we can watch the doors swing open for people wanting to come get them.
All right. And speaking of that project too, let's give a special shout out to two of the students who really helped us, Emily Spearman and also Nicholas Fern, who really helped us move that project along.
So the interesting thing I'll pass on about those two, those two did their semester for the project with VME, but they have done follow-on semesters as mentors for the teams that have come for the following semesters to be part of that continuity that we keep this project on track.
Yeah, they've been great. Amazing. Okay, well, thanks, Kirk. Now,
Yeah,
I would be remiss if I did not thank every one of our volunteers. We have a list of all of our volunteers here. It doesn't matter how much they volunteer or how little or how much, each time counts for us because we really cannot do this work without our volunteers. I mean, it makes it very, very special for our clients. Just to see the results are just amazing. So hats off to all of you. And with that thought, I'm going to turn it back over to Mike.
All right, just a couple of brief final thoughts. I want to thank all the volunteers who make all of this possible, and thank you for working with these young folks that need to get into the system. You know, I'm getting old enough to start thinking that I won't be around forever. I know it's not possible, but it's a likely event that I won't be around forever. And one of the things that sort of follows me around is, what are you doing to keep this thing going forever? What are you doing to start that next generation of people? Yes, I look for funding so that we can create endowments, and I look for ways to make sure that next generation is there. But it's also the young people, the engineering teams, the staff. Quite honestly, we have a lot of young staff in our organization, and I love that fact because what it means is they're going to be around after I'm gone. They're going to be able to take the mantle up and make things work. And I just want to say thank you to everyone who looks to that next generation and who thinks about that next generation, because it's complicated. And there are a lot of organizations who don't make it to that next generation. I think we will, with the strength that we have from people who care about this organization and people who work for this organization, people who fund this organization. I think we're going to be around 30, 40 years from now, 50 years from now. And I'm so pleased because the engineering problems that haunt people with disabilities are always going to be there, and we're going to have to find solutions to that. I want to take a minute, Angela, if you'll put the board up there. I want to thank our board. You know, these are the quiet heroes that help us make the decisions we need to make, help us develop the funding we need to have to create the work that needs to be done. And these are these are my bosses. So, you know, I have to say a lot of very nice things about them, but the nice thing is I don't need to try. It's been a great experience working with our board. I want to say that one of the people on the list is Bong Del Rosario. Bong is leaving us. So he's got, like I said, I think earlier jokingly before the meeting started, Bong is going to go off to work for the state of Maryland. And I think the state of Maryland is a real beneficiary for that. Bong is a guy who has limited use of one hand. And when I say limited, I mean barely. And he has use of his head neck area. And Bong has figured out how to do almost everything there is to do. Bong doesn't even have a care provider. Bong can dress himself. We've got to put some videos together. We put a few together, but we're going to have to get some more so everybody can see how creative this guy has been in figuring out how to be in charge of his life. Bong has been a great example for us, and has been any time on the board that he asked for anything or we asked for anything, he was there for us. And then I want to say a couple of quick remarks. None of this could have happened. This whole process has been so incredibly worthwhile for us to do these awards. But the two people who make it possible are Angela. We've talked about Angela and how powerful she is and how detail-oriented she is, and Heather. Heather has a half-time job. I don't know how she gets 80 hours into 20, but she manages to do it. She's extremely organized, extremely detail-oriented, and extremely focused on making sure that our consumers get what they need. And I just wanted to take a minute to thank Heather for everything that she does. Let's see. Let me get the last couple of things in. I have a note here and I can't figure out what in the world I was going to talk about. But anyway, I want to, again,
Dave Ward. Mm-hmm.
Yes, thank you. The other board member who is not with us tonight is Dave Ward. And as all of you know, Dave know that he would have been here. This represented sort of the crowning effort for Dave of being the president of the board of a Center for Independent Living, and then also pulling together all the people who helped him create the future home. There's a picture that we have, and I didn't think to ask Angela to bring it tonight, of two hands. And the two hands are John Stalen and Dave Ward clasping together. That so symbolizes what he believed in and what we believe in, that there are solutions to problems and that there are partnerships that need to be created. And I am just so grateful for everything that Dave did for us. He will be profoundly missed. Yes, we will let all of you know when there is an opportunity for a memorial. I know that's in the works, but there's this tiny little virus that keeps messing with our ability to get to that, but we will honor Dave. One other note, even though we're finishing these shows tonight, these events tonight, we are going to have, continue to have a weekly program, Monday afternoons at 2 o'clock, called I Am, Independence Amplified Maryland. And it's an opportunity for you to hear from disability leaders, service providers. This next Monday, we're having the folks from Disability Rights Maryland to talk about the kinds of legal cases that they're dealing with because of the coronavirus, what's going on with that, how people can access services, how people can make sure that they get what they need. So if you haven't signed up for Independence Access Maryland chats or meetings, please do so. And from time to time, we will probably, as we find good reason to do it, we will have these Thursday night meetings in the future. There are disability leaders throughout the country that we would like to hear from. So, and if you have ideas and if you know people that we should hear from on an irregular basis, please let us know. So I just want to thank everybody. It's I should probably just retire now. And the reason I should retire is things as difficult as they are, they're going so well, and it's all because of you folks. And I can't tell you how much it means to me to work in an environment where where everybody gets along and everybody works toward the same common goals. And there's seldom a discouraging word, to be honest with you. Everybody on this team, both the board and the staff and all the engineers and volunteers, they just want to get it done. And I love that idea that it's about solutions. It's about finding ways. It's not about stopping. It's about going. So thank you all. And thanks to all the rest of the folks who are here for participating and supporting. So stay around if you want. We're going to end this now. And we're just going to chat for a while. If y'all want to stay around and chat with us and hear the postmortems about how I might have picked my nose while we were talking or something, feel free to stay around. But mostly, honestly, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for all that you do. It means so much to us.